Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Road Home Show. I'm your host, Tim Atkisson, and tonight we got my sidekick, Alan Moorehead. Alan, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
And we have our special guest tonight, Lewisburg Fire Chief Drew Hawkins. Drew, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
It's good to have you tonight, and we want to say thank y'all for joining us tonight. If you will, just take a moment and share our show tonight. It will qualify you for a drawing coming up here in a couple of weeks for a $50 gift card. And we're just, man, we're excited to have a beautiful day. Man, it's been beautiful. And this is coming up on Memorial Day weekend, and they talk like it's not going to be so beautiful. In fact, I was just looking at the weather forecast, and Saturday we got a 50% chance of rain, Sunday 59%, and Monday a 64%. So looks like my fishing for Monday is going to be gone. What y'all got planned?
Ain't going fishing Monday.
What y'all's plans for the weekend? You got to work?
No, we're actually, myself and my family, we're headed to Asheboro, North Carolina for a week for one of my wife's nephew's graduation. So
all right.
We're going to spend some time with some family and stop back in the mountains and spend the weekend next weekend and come back home, get back after it.
That sounds like a good thing to do.
It is. It does.
Good deal. Before we get into our interview tonight, just a couple of things we want to talk about outside of the fire department. We're going to be talking about that. Once again, this is Memorial Day weekend, and coming up Monday, there's an event that's going on the Lewisburg Square. Drew, can you give us a little more information about that?
Sure. So the first event will be the David Hireholzer Run. It's an annual thing that we take a lot of pride in helping with. Runners start in the north end of the county in Holt's Corner. They run all the way to the south end of the county. It's set up in stages. We volunteer to put up the flag for that ceremony. We take a lot of pride in doing that, in honoring fallen military personnel. And then we also help with the actual memorial ceremony, which is held at the courthouse. I believe it's at 11 o'clock.
Is that rain or shine?
I believe it is. I'm not really sure. I know they usually tell us as it comes up, but I would say it is.
Okay. And isn't there a spaghetti dinner involved in this?
There may be.
VFW?
I believe there is. They think they do it down at the VFW.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's $10 a plate for spaghetti and salad and drink. Best I can remember. I've got it. Sharon sent it to me, and I've got it somewhere. But we kind of, I'm telling you, Al and I were talking coming here. We're in Lewisburg tonight at the church, and the past couple of weeks we've been doing it at our home. But this makes 3 weeks in a row we've come on right after eating. And tonight was, it was so quick. We were gonna, my son who lives back here, they asked us if we wanted to eat. And I said, well, yeah, but it's probably gonna be after the show because it was going on 6 o'clock. We had to prepare and everything. And so we got up there and they said, well, it won't take but a minute. It's almost ready. Y'all go ahead and eat. So Alan and I, we stuffed it down in about 5 minutes, which ain't good.
No, but it was good.
It was good. It's not good that we ate that fast, but I'm a fast eater anyway. We're gonna make it. Couple of things I want to ask everybody to be in prayer for my family. I lost an uncle, Jerry Beach, who owned Allied Concrete for years. He used to be Jerry Beach Concrete. I tell you, if you go to Nashville, you're going to see a building that he was part of pouring a slab. And then here in Lewisburg, his business was here. His son has it now. But we lost him yesterday, and his funeral is going to be tomorrow. I know a lot of people down in Belfast know him. So please have him in your prayers, the family. We'd appreciate it. Well, we had something happen this week in Lewisburg that wasn't pretty. Wow, that was, you know, you hear things like this, robberies, and but this wasn't just a robbery. This was it was ridiculous that what happened. It was a homicide. It's all over the news now. But the man, they did catch him, thank God. Personally, I don't think they should have a trial. Just do something with him. That it ain't good the way he treated that man. Don't y'all feel the same way?
It was definitely an unfortunate event and sad in every way. And you know, our thoughts and prayers at the fire department with the family, and the store and the community. We do everything we can to help in tragic events, and unfortunately we can't, you know, get the best outcome on everything, but our hearts and thoughts and prayers are with the family.
Yeah. Drew, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
How long you've been chief, and just give us a little background.
So I'm a born and raised Lewisburg citizen. I graduated from Washington County High School in 2007. I did leave in 2008 and joined the Marine Corps for 4 years. Decided that, you know, starting a family, I wanted to be closer to home, so we moved back home, and I did some odds and end jobs there for a while. And then 2015, I started as a paid-on-call member of Lewisburg Fire. I was already a volunteer with EMA in Farmington, so I went full-time in 2016. And then 2018, I was promoted to the rank of lieutenant on B shift under Captain Steve Anderson. And then 2021, a lot happened. I had twin girls.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
that happened, and then almost simultaneously I was promoted to the rank of assistant chief.
Oh, wow.
And then January 2024, Chief Larry Williams explained he was going to retire. He sprung that on me. But
he was a great chief.
He was a good chief. He'd done it for many years, and he taught me a lot of things, and I thank him for it. He really put this department on the forward path, on, you know, moving forward and becoming more advanced in what we do.
Okay.
And that's my goal going into the future, is to really turn that technology leaf. A lot of departments are doing it now. You really can't operate without technology anymore. It plays a vital role in our day-to-day operations. Just, you know, the growth of the city in itself.
Right.
So many new roads being built and new homes and structures that we don't know the names of the roads. You know, we do study them. And just a quick bit of information on that. Up until 2021, early 2022, we did not have any mapping software in our apparatus.
Wow.
We studied streets, and we knew where they started and where they ended.
Wow.
Every street in the city, at that time there was about 318 streets in the city of Lewisburg.
Wow.
And we knew where they started and where they ended. And a lot of the older guys could tell you how many hydrants were on.
Wow, that's wild. And Lewisburg is growing. It's like Columbia is like that, and everywhere is just growing. But Lewisburg, I was born and raised here, and it was, for years, it was just like no growth, not anything. And you know, and everybody kept saying, well, we need more restaurants. So they started bringing in restaurants, and they passed the alcohol bill, and that didn't trigger like everybody thought it would. And then it seemed like in the past couple of years, what do you think was the key to Lewisburg growing like it has?
So I think, in my opinion, the number one thing that I hear from individuals that are moving here, because we do talk to them, and you know, when we see them out and they introduce themselves and they're new to town, they say it's the beauty of the area.
Oh, wow.
You know, you go out west, and when they say you don't have the rolling hills and the trees and, you know, the streams and the rivers, and that's a big selling point. And then I think just the growth of Nashville and Huntsville and Memphis and Knoxville, a lot of them are trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
And you know, nowadays people don't mind driving 45 minutes to an hour to their
Right.
job.
Right.
But when they come home, it's quiet, it's peaceful, and Lewisburg really brings that to the table.
Yeah.
That's probably the thing I've heard the most is trying to get out of the big city and come to a place like Lewisburg, but not careful.
Right, yeah, you want to manage it properly, and the city is taking a big interest in that. We want to grow, we want to bring some good restaurants and good retail, but at the same time, we've got to do it responsibly and look at every avenue before we just let a bunch of stuff get built.
Right. Absolutely. I know Alan's got a lot of questions, so I'm going to kind of get mine out of the way. Okay. And you told me a few minutes ago before we went live that I told you how I used to work at the radio station at Waxo, and that's one reason I do this show is because I miss having my face on camera. But you said that the fire department used to be where Waxo used to, which is Rose's Cafe.
Rose's Cafe now.
Tell me about that. I didn't know that. I worked there for 20-something years.
So I'll give you a quick rundown history of the Lewisburg Fire Department. Before Waxo, the first piece of firefighting apparatus in Lewisburg was a wheel cart, a chemical wheel cart. It had 2 tanks on it and a hose reel on it. It had wagon wheels on it. And it was held in a shed behind the ladies' restroom down at the square, the historic building. It was held in a shed there, and they nicknamed it Pete Turney. And I believe that was after some senator or governor. I can't remember what exactly he done, but that was its nickname. And then there was some records around 1920-ish, 24, that the city started paying for maintenance on a fire apparatus. And there's some drawings, they're all around, but I have the second proof down there at the fire department of a 1928 LaFrance, American LaFrance.
Oh, wow. And
for a long time, everybody thought that was Lewisburg's first gas-powered engine. And we did some more research, and we actually owned a Federal. It had a little bit shorter nose on it. And I've got a newspaper article down there where you can barely see it, but you can definitely tell it's a different truck than the 28 LaFrance. And then when that LaFrance was bought, the fire department moved to the Waxo building. And in the drawings, you can see in the back, you can see the Waxo building, and it says fire department on the top of it.
Oh, wow.
Engraved in the brick. And what they done, the courthouse burned around that time. We have photos of it on fire down there. And there was an old bell that sat in the courtyard, and they put that bell on top of Waxo. And when there was a fire, they would ring that bell, and the firemen would come. So around 1914 is when we really started having manned personnel standing by with fire stuff. For a long time, we just had volunteers. But now the LaFrance, if you would like to see it, it's still around here today. The city of Lewisburg sold the 19, I think it was a 26 or 28 LaFrance to Jack Daniel's Distillery.
Oh, wow.
And if you go to Jack Daniel's Distillery and do the tour, you'll go by a pavilion that has 2 fire trucks under it, and one of those is Lewisburg's.
Well, I took a tour down there. I don't know that.
One of those belongs to the city. It was Jack Daniel's first fire truck.
Oh, wow.
And, we've contacted them in the past about trying to get it back and restore it, and it's their first one, so they're like, no, we're not interested in that. But we know it's being taken care of, and it's a piece of history. So
yeah. But as I said, I was born and raised here in Lewisburg, and I was born in 1962, and my mom and dad owned the restaurant. It's on East Commerce, right off the square where the Mexican restaurant is. Mm-hmm. They used to own that when I was 11, 12, 13 years old. The best years of I don't want to say the best years of my life, but some of the greatest memories.
Right.
Everybody has them years where they were just special. And there was a man that, his name was Joe Hilliard. He used to be a firefighter here in Lewisburg. And he would come in the restaurant all the time, filthy mouth. Oh, but Joe taught me how to drive, and when I was 15, he would take me fishing, and he would let me drive. And he had a Gran Torino, and he used to tell me about. In those days, he would talk about how boring it was at the fire department because there was nothing going on, and they would work like I think maybe 42 on and then off 24, something like that. But it was just like they dreamed it because it was so boring. And I was asking Alan, he wasn't sure, but you may know, at that time, I don't know if they were volunteers or what. It seemed like they were, but he told me that they got paid $75 for a call, and it was $50 for false alarm.
I'm not sure that far back. I know in the 80s, they were 24/24. They worked a day, off a day. So every morning you were at the fire department. They had 2 shifts, and I couldn't tell you what the pay was back then on that, but they somewhere in the
That may have been their pay.
It may have been.
Not volunteers.
And then in the 90s, they transferred to a 24/48, so they worked a day off too, and they hired another shift. And then later on down the road, they built the West Side Station out there at West Ellington. And currently, which we did back in February of 2023, we moved to a 24/72 schedule. So I have 4 shifts of 7 personnel. I have 28 full-time firefighters, and we have 4 support personnel up front.
You have two stations.
I run 2 stations.
Is that enough, or are y'all looking at building another one?
The city is looking into the future growth. We're eventually going to have to build a 3rd station and hire more manpower, get more trucks. We're working towards that now. We actually, we're about 5 to 6 weeks out from receiving our first new truck since 2007. It's a brand new $700,000 custom pumper that was purchased with federal money, which is great. No tax dollars in that. And I actually have a brand new medical truck that is being vinyled right here in town and should be ready in the next few weeks. So those are 2 things that are moving us towards, expanding and providing a better service than what we already provide for the citizens.
Okay.
So, speaking of that, medical, I know he was talking about how they used to say it was boring.
Yeah.
And I know you and I talked recently a little bit and talked about how busy y'all were, and we're going to get into a little bit of that in a minute, but you mentioned a medical truck.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be sit around the station and wait on a fire call, right?
Right, yeah. It used to, fires were few and far between.
Oh, yeah.
And the history of the fire service, firemen became so good at teaching how to prevent fires, they ultimately worked themselves out of a job. I mean, we prevented them because it was taking so many lives. And so while we don't run a whole lot of fires, we had to find something else to do to give back and to help. So the fire department is really considered an all hazard service. We provide medical care, we do vehicle extrication, we fight fires, we do fire education, we do hazmat.
When did y'all start that?
The medical. We started the medical program under Chief Williams in 2013.
Because I knew Columbia used to do it, and I always thought, why doesn't Lewisburg respond to wrecks and medical calls? And now they do.
So we do that. We actually respond to 3 times the medical calls than we do fire calls.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, it's all across the nation, they ask that question, why is there a big fire truck pulling up out front when I call for an ambulance?
Well, lifting assistance.
Well, right. Historically, fire departments are quicker than other emergency agencies. I don't know why. It just is. So we are what we call first responders.
Yeah.
We get on scene and we start what I like to coin Chris Carlo. He was a paramedic for Marshall County for years, and he owns the Rising Glory Farms out there on 431. And he always told us 5-minute medicine. What can you do in that 5 minutes waiting for that ambulance to get there to help that patient? So we're very aggressive in our tactics when we get on scene to try to keep that patient comfortable, get all the information we can from when that paramedic gets on scene, they can roll right on with what they need to do.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you can answer it if you want to, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but why can the fire department get there faster than the EMTs?
I can't answer that.
I mean, they're both staff.
I don't know about the ambulance service, but the fire service, we have standards that we have to meet, and it plays into your insurance. For any commercial building, your home, the lower we get our ISO rating, the better insurance rate you get. So there's a standard that we have. We require the truck out the door in 60 seconds on a medical call, and the engines have to be out the door in 80 seconds on anything fire related. So
you're on duty right now?
No, I'm on duty 24/7.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you got...
No.
Okay. If he jumps up...
I hope not. But No, I'm on duty 24/7, 365 unless I'm on vacation out of town.
Okay.
Same thing with my deputy chief. You know, we do have lives, we have children, we have events that we attend with him. So it's a work-life balance, but it's a rewarding career. So we happily do it.
Is Jason Davis still with y'all?
Jason Davis, he is the lieutenant on A shift.
Okay.
So, but he's still.
I
with
used
us.
to be Jason's boss at the grocery store. Me and he was good buddies.
I like
So,
Jason. Jason's a good one.
if you're watching Jason, hi. Alan, you've come up with some questions you wanted to talk to him about, so get us fired.
So that was one of them, was the medical, because I think that's important for the residents here in the city of Lewisburg to understand. I think a lot of times they don't realize everything y'all do. You know, they don't hear, you know, well, we don't have a lot of fires, you know, and big house fires or commercial structural fires,
Right.
And so
A newsworthy fire.
yeah, newsworthy fire. That's right. And so they really may think you aren't doing much, but these medical calls that y'all are going on, and I'd ask you to bring maybe some stats.
Sure.
What y'all done. I know you talked about some year to date and over the last month and everything. If you don't mind, kind of what you feel free to share with us on the stats of what y'all ran.
So we average monthly around 130 to 150 calls for service. This year already we're at 590 for the year total calls, and it's a little more than half that's medical. About 200 of those have been fire related. And when I say fire related, that could be gas leaks, it could be you know, MVCs, not necessarily all those are fires. It could be an outside rubbish fire. But in the middle of running the calls, all the firemen, they still have to train. It's just like any other job. If you don't use the skills, you lose them. So personnel, on average, out of the 28 that's down there, they average about 1,000 hours of training a month. And they're required to meet certain levels of training throughout each year. And then you have continuing education where some you get a higher level, such as with the medical, you have an EMR and then a basic EMT and advanced EMT.
So speaking of that, now do all the guys have to go through the medical training, or do y'all have? Yep.
So every one of our personnel currently are required to be employed. They have to be minimum an emergency medical responder, which is the introduction to the medical service. I do have, I can't tell you the number off the top of my head broken down, but I have about 10 individuals that are either basic EMT or advanced EMT. And that's pretty common. Most of your fire departments are going to have EMTs, paramedics, and whatnot. So, because we run more people on trucks, and it's good to have those on board, especially not only for the citizens, but for us. You know, when we go to fires and stuff, it helps to have those medically trained personnel in case something happens.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of calls for a city the size of Lewisburg. When you say that's y'all are constantly.
It averages out to about 5 to 7 calls a day.
Oh wow! So y'all not bored?
No, we're not bored. We're not bored at all.
Now, do you consider MBAs medical, or is that fire?
It depends. Some MBAs we go to, they're non-injury. So if we don't have any patient interaction, it just goes down as would be a fire or fire related. But now if we have patient interaction, it technically goes down as 2 calls, because we're dealing with the vehicles and clearing the roadway, and we're dealing with patients.
Okay,
So
that's right.
it breaks down that way.
Well, let's I want to address maybe let's say the elephant in the room kind of now with what we're dealing with, the growth of Lewisburg, and you and I's had some conversation a little bit about the growth and the number of residential homes, but now it's not really only that. We're looking at commercial growth.
Absolutely.
As well. And I don't know how much you want to talk about that tonight on the growth, but I think even the challenges that I think that's really what we may want to talk about tonight, is the challenges that you and your department are dealing with
Right.
with all the growth.
So challenges with growth, they start in the very beginning. It's infrastructure is hard to plan for, but you got to do what you can. And years ago they widened the bypass and done all that work, so that really helped on our roads infrastructure. Public safety, we're a very proactive type organization, kind of like the police department and EMS. We want to stay ahead and provide the best service that we can. We are a tax-based organization. Everything that we do is 100% tax-based. We do get some grants, but our main concern is the safety of the citizens and the safety of our firefighters.
Right.
So that's what we really look for. You know, are we providing the best service that we can with the amount of firefighters that we have? Without the funding, we can't add more firefighters, we can't build more stations, but that comes with the growth. As you grow, more funding comes in and you continue to grow.
Right.
It's a lot of give and take. Sometimes we've got to move individuals to different trucks and move things around. You know, I told you, we started the MED program in 2013, and all the way up until mid 2024, we ran that out of one vehicle with two guys, and they run that program. And in 2024, we had to split it, the city. So our substation on the west side of town, it actually runs the MED calls on that side of the main CSX line, and then our pickup truck runs them on this side. So they're constantly on the go, and a lot of people, they'll go by saying, "Oh, they're never there." Well, usually they're on calls or they're out training. So
are you fully staffed?
We are fully staffed. We got kind of hurt there for a while, but when we went to that 2472, we're kind of leading the front on that in the fire service. I believe there's only one other department that runs one station in the state of Tennessee that's in fire at 2472. A lot of your EMS agencies are doing it. Ours recently just done it. And that's a huge help to the personnel, because on the 2448, you work a day, the next day you're winding down, and then the next day you're gearing right back up to go to work.
Yeah.
On the 2472, you get off, you got that day to wind down, you got the next day to relax and do what you need to do and take care of your family and do anything anybody else has to do. And then that next day you're gearing back up to come back to work. So, and then a lot of our guys, they work a lot of extra time. You know, we don't get below 6 people. If I get below 6, we're calling people in. Because we're minimum 6 personnel every day.
You don't have volunteers now?
We do not have volunteers.
Okay, when did that stop?
That stopped in 2023 when we went to the new schedule.
Okay.
We took that funding and put it towards full-time positions.
Okay.
We've never really had volunteers that we consider them paid on call.
Yeah.
They got paid for when they showed up and helped on calls. But it was a blessing, the new schedule, dealing with our staffing. We've got people, you know, constantly turning in applications looking for a job, and a lot of good qualified trained individuals too. So
what is your, with it being Memorial Weekend, what is a memorial story that stands out to you, and maybe one of your worst stories, and maybe a funny story?
I got a lot of them.
Put me on the spot
You
here.
put me on the spot. I wasn't prepared for that one. You know, the holidays, every holiday it can be hectic for us. Everybody wants to go out and have a good time and enjoy the holiday. And I just like to remind everybody what the holidays are for, especially Memorial Day. Being a veteran myself, it's for those fallen individuals that paid the ultimate price. So, you know, have a good time, enjoy the weekend, please be safe. But that's what it's all about, you know. It is remembering why we have that day off and what we're remembering. You know, I guess my worst holiday is July 4th. It can get hectic.
Yeah.
I bet.
You know, I love to shoot fireworks just like anybody else.
We sell fireworks. We have to fight it.
And we just ask you to be smart, be safe,
Yeah.
watch your children if they're around. You know, I spend my fair share of money on them.
Yeah.
I love doing it. So, and then, wow, funny story.
Well, you're thinking of a funny story. I used to be a volunteer at Belfast, and the funniest story was I went to a call one night, and it was in the middle of winter, and it was freezing. It was out on Philly Beach Road. It was a garage fire, middle of the night. I mean, cold, below freezing. And we started spraying, and the water just started freezing on the ground, and here we was in those boots. We were slipping and sliding. That was funny, but it was rough.
It is. Well, I've been on many of those calls where the road gets quite slick and you end up under the truck before you know it. That one kind of jogged my memory, and I'll tell on one of my firemen that's currently he's a lieutenant on B shift. Y'all probably heard that West Barron. We had a structure fire not far over here. It was on a night of Goat Fest years ago, and we got dispatched, and of course I was off duty that day, but I was working the Goat Fest, and the three of myself and two others responded from Goat Fest, so we were a little behind the 8 ball, but the guys on duty, they were there quick, and Wes was headed in the door with the hand line, and I was right on his tail. I was like, all right, I'm going with him. And we have what's called a thermal imaging camera. It's about a $5,000 to $6,000 piece of equipment that can see through smoke. And 9 times out of 10, one of us firemen grab it and we clip it right on our turnout coats. And it's just a big carabiner. And of course, we've got all of our gear on, our air packs and everything. Well, when I get to Wes's back and we start pushing on the fire, it was in a small bathroom, right about the middle of the house. And the hose line, it was whooping our tails. And I don't know what they had the PSI at, but it was killing us. So I pushed really hard in Wes's back, and when I did, that carabiner clipped onto his air bottle. And Wes is a very aggressive firefighter, we have to be sometimes. And he was going, I'm on it. He's moving and he's yanking me through this house. And I told the other firefighters in there with us, I believe it was Butch Parks, I was like, man, you're gonna have to help me. I can't stop him, and I can't get unhooked. So here we are in the middle of the house fire. It's a crazy situation when we get inside those buildings. A lot of people, I'm not down in the show, I watch it myself, but Chicago Fire doesn't do our job anymore. You usually can't see anything. You're just looking for that glow.
And there's an adrenaline.
It is.
Man,
100%.
Man, I remember the first call I got as a volunteer. Boy, I jumped up out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and wide awake, boy. It's an adrenaline.
It's an adrenaline rush, and in somewhat you're chasing that. You enjoy it, but at the end of the day, we know what we're there for. We want to help citizens. We want to do what's right and help anybody we can. And that's one reason I got into it after being in the military. It was the closest thing that I could find to the brotherhood that I had there in the military when I came back home. And I love my job. I don't go to work any day of the week. I get up and enjoy everything that I do. So there are trying times, but it's with any job,
Right. So I know that, and probably getting close to wrapping up here, but we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about all of that that y'all deal with, but from us here at the Tabernacle, I want to take a minute to thank y'all. Y'all come out and helped us out a few times. I don't think we've done it last year. Year before last, you guys come out and brought the ladder truck out, and they went up and dumped out candy for all the kids. Man, the kids loved that. But there's one thing that I thought about thinking of that day was your guys seemed to enjoy that. They seemed like, I think the fact of, like you said, helping and seeing the joy on everybody else's face and stuff. So, but we appreciate that from the Tabernacle of you allowing them to come out and do that.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll probably be asking for it again, but we do appreciate that, and I know y'all do a lot of things like that for not just us, but around. And I don't know if you want to take a minute. I know. Do y'all still have the old firehouse?
So actually, I'm glad you brought that up. The current fire safety house that we have, it's been around for many years. We got it on a grant program from Columbia Fire, which used it for many years. We currently have in production a new fire safety house. We got it through the Fire Safety Council, National Fire Safety Council. It's an inflatable. It's 20 foot by 30 foot, and it's 12 foot tall. So we're really looking forward to getting that. It's just been ordered. But it's a great piece of equipment and educational material. We do the education at Oak Grove yearly, where we probably talk to 700 kids, and we take a lot of pride, and we love coming out and doing things with the community. All you have to do is give us a call down at the station. I have a public education officer that you can talk to, and we'll do everything we can to try to set that up and do whatever we can to help you. We provide free fire extinguisher training. We provide CPR training. That does have a cost to it, but any kind of way that we can help better the knowledge of citizens on fire safety and just being safe all around, we love to do that.
Yeah.
Especially children. I'll pull a phrase from my old captain Steve Anderson. He used to always say, "It's all about the children."
Yeah.
You know, and it is. We love kids so much because they always love firemen, and
just about every boy grows up, I want to be a firefighter.
Right. and that's where I came from. You know, as a small child, I always wanted to be a fireman.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Backdraft.
Yeah.
You know. So,
right. Yeah.
But.
So I'd encourage you, you know, especially if you got some kind of have kids, maybe a daycare or something like that. I'd encourage you to reach out to them and have them to come out, because I'm telling you that might be what saves somebody's life. And
that's true.
Because we never know. A lot of times you probably wonder, are the kids really even listening to what we're saying and taking in? But they listen. They listen. They realize.
They do.
Yeah. Before we close, I want you to solve a problem for me.
I'll try.
Yeah, I hope you're ready.
No, I have my opinion, and I'll tell you what it is. But
this is scary.
All right. And I've done some research, and I'm kind of confused on it. All right, let's say we got Highway 50 out here going toward Columbia. Let's say I'm coming from Columbia in this lane over here.
Okay.
Y'all got a call going this direction. Everybody that's in front of you should pull over.
They should slow.
What about the people in this lane?
So no matter which direction you're traveling, if you are traveling, you're moving, we ask you to slow and pull to the right.
The law, though, what is the law?
It is called the move over law,
Right.
And it says slow and pull to the right.
Both lanes.
Both lanes, all moving traffic. Now, I know where you're going with this, because red and white flashing lights and big red trucks seem to just throw some people off. We have them cross over into oncoming traffic. All you have to do is slow down and ease to the right. We are always going to pass you on the left-hand side. We always take the center of the road, and if we can't take the center of the road, we're going to take the far left-hand side. Oncoming traffic is going to see us a lot quicker than a regular vehicle.
That helps me to understand why this side needs to get over, because y'all could be in the center.
Right.
Because I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've been through the Vanessa K class, which has changed, but at the time, well, that don't matter, but I've always thought when people are in this lane and they all start pulling over, that's gonna cause a wreck. And I've always said, no, you don't have to pull over. It out of respect.
Right.
But I see so many people that just starts jerking, and
It's,
like, come on,
and
man, you gotta have some sense.
that's the thing. Even though there is a law that says pull over and stop, pull over to the right and come to a stop, we still have to drive with due regard.
Right.
Just because we have red and white flashing lights doesn't mean we own the road.
Right.
We still have to watch everybody, and it really, if anything happens, we're liable. And that's what we preach to all of our drivers. We can't be of any help to anybody if we don't make it to the center.
That's right.
And we don't want to become part of the problem. We want to fix somebody's problem. And that's what ultimately what people expect when the fire department shows up. We're there to fix their problem,
Right.
or at least make it better.
Right.
And but yeah, that's an age-old issue. It can be scary at times.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I one of the only wrecks I've had was in Murfreesboro, and I was going down Church Street and getting near the post office, and EMS was coming. They were heading south, and this car decided it was going to just go right over in front of me, and clipped me right there. Just because went over, because probably freaked out because seen it.
Yeah.
But you was talking about passing on the left hand side. I think in the EOB training, you know, it taught to pass on the left, and I guess that, because even though I should know, you know, with this, you know, sometimes I get frustrated too, because I'm like, they're way over there and you're stopping right here, you know. But I think the fact is, you just made a comment that makes sense, is that oncoming traffic can see you a lot quicker, and a lot of times, and I know this from even prior experience, you can be right on top of somebody and they just ain't moving, and they may not hear, whatever the case may be, and I guess that gives you room to go around.
Right, and it's the design of newer vehicles. They're designed to be soundproof. They don't want and a lot of newer vehicles, they've got a built-in system now that you know, police officers and fire apparatus and thinking that you've got a system in your vehicle that when you're in emergency traffic, it'll tell that through the radio, hey, there's an emergency vehicle approaching you. But I'll add to there is one thing that can stop a fire engine that's running emergency traffic. Do you know what it is? It's a vehicle.
I may know this one. I don't know. I'm gonna take a shot at it. I'll give him time here.
I have no idea.
You said a vehicle though, and I don't know if I this may
be
train.
Well, I mean, you know, we that okay too. we're not gonna challenge the train, but on the roadway, we will stop for school buses.
Okay.
That have their stop sign out and activated.
Okay.
Again, it's all about the children. We will stop. We will turn our siren off. We'll leave our lights on, but until that bus driver closes their stop sign and moves over and waves us through,
what should he do though if he sees that? Just
if he sees us, he needs to continue. They need to continue what they're doing with their children. Once they're comfortable, they feel that child is safe, they'll close their door, pull their sign in, move over to the edge of the roadway, and then they'll wave us past. They'll go ahead and put their hands.
So once again, what Steve said, it's all about children.
It's all about the children.
It's all about the children.
Yeah. Well, man, I certainly appreciate you coming in tonight and doing this show for us. And you've answered a lot of questions and helped me understand some things. And we ask that everybody pray for I always pray for our emergency personnel, firefighters, EMTs, volunteers, police officers. I try to be thankful. I had a state trooper not recently, but one time for a meal, and after he gave me a ticket, I said, "Hey, I appreciate you." I mean, I'm not trying to say anything about me, but I want to appreciate all emergency personnel, and we do. We appreciate you, and we ask that everybody appreciate them and pray for them, because you have no idea what their lives are in jeopardy every time they get in that vehicle and take off.
Yeah, and I'd say this, I'm going to go a step further, when you want to criticize them for maybe something they did and how they handled, you'll never know that you're in that position and you're in their shoes, and you know what, you may be the very next one that you have to call to come save your life. So
well, y'all didn't go through the training and get the job to make people mad.
Right. we everything we do is to help any way we can, and we don't have the answer to everything. With things changing on a day-to-day basis with technology and the type of materials they're putting in furniture, our tactics are constantly changing. But you know, there's a lot of times we use the term back up and punt. You know, we're getting whooped on a fire, and we're like, hey, wait a minute, this ain't working.
And we, the public, just need to be patient.
And that's all we ask. We're normal people trying to do a job and trying to help, and we're not perfect, but we're going to do everything in our power to try to help you on your worst day of your life. Because that's ultimately, when you call 911, you're having the worst day of your life.
That's right. And
anything we can do to make that better, we're going to try to do. So, but we truly appreciate all the thanks we get and the prayers. People tell us constantly, and we kind of brush it off, you know, thank you for what you do. We look at it as it's our job. We signed up to do that, and it's what we like to do. But it does go a long way, but we thank you.
All right. Well, once again, thank you, and thank y'all for watching us tonight. And We'll be back next Thursday night, here or there or somewhere. We've got some people lined up. Who knows who we'll have on our show. Once again, this is the Road Home Show. For Tim, Allen, and Drew, thank you and God bless you, and thank you for watching us tonight.